we have a crisis in the world, tremendous crisis, and also crisis in our consciousness, in us. I see the urgency of change, radical revolution, mutation in the mind. I see it. It is necessary. There is complete quietness of the mind, and that which is silent has vast space. Only then that which is nameless comes into being.
This is Urgency of Change, the Krishnamurti podcast. Drugs don't alter your boredom. A drug doesn't end your sorrow. You may escape for the time being, but there is still sorrow. Hello and welcome to episode 279 of Urgency of Change. The Krishnamurti podcast features selected extracts from Krishnamurti's recorded talks. Each episode highlights his different approaches to universal and timeless themes that affect our everyday lives, the state of the world, and the future of humanity. This episode's theme is drugs. Upcoming themes are goodness and generosity, civilization, and vulnerability. This is a podcast from Krishnamurti Foundation Trust based at Brockwood Park in the UK, which is also home to the Krishnamurti Centre. The centre offers a variety of group retreats, including for young adults. There is also a volunteer programme. The atmosphere at the centre is one of openness and friendliness, with a sense of freedom to inquire with others and alone. Please visit krishnamurticentre.org.uk for more information. You can also find our regular Krishnamurti quotes and videos on Instagram, TikTok and Facebook at Krishnamurti Foundation Trust. If you enjoy the podcast, please leave a review or rating on your podcast app. This episode on drugs has 6 sections. This first extract is from Krishnamurti's first talk in Amsterdam, 1971, and is titled, "Why Do You Take Drugs?"
First of all, why do you take drugs? Because all the people around you are taking drugs? Why do you smoke? Because all the people around you smoke? Or drink or eat meat because others are doing it? Because if you didn't smoke, if you didn't drink, if you didn't eat meat, if you didn't take drugs, you'll be out of it. You won't belong to this circle. You'll be square or round or whatever it is. Therefore, you take drugs because you want to conform to the pattern set by the young or the old. That's one point. Second, you hope by taking drugs, LSD, smoking marijuana and all the rest of it, by bringing about a chemical change in your system, you will have greater experiences. You will see things more clearly. See not only the colors of a sunset more beautifully, more ecstatically, but also see yourself more clearly. And you take drugs also because you want to have wider, deeper, more extensive experiences. So these are the reasons that, and more, that one takes drugs. And you take drugs because you want to conform to the pattern set by, group. You take drugs in order to have wider and deeper experiences. Is that so? By taking drugs, you expand your own consciousness with its limitations, with its conformities, with its conditioning. You see more. If you are conditioned as a Catholic by taking a drug, you will see some fantastic visions of angels and all the rest of it. Or, if you are inclined to be an artist, you see colors much more vividly. And so on. But what do all these drugs, chemicals, marijuana, and so on, do to the brain cells themselves, to the brain? Doctors, professionals, independent researchers are finding out it affects the brain cells more and more. Those who take it becomes, as one has observed, becomes irresponsible, cannot talk consecutively, rationally. Their brains deteriorate. And as they bear children, the children are affected by it. And if you like all that kind of stuff, go on with it. I'm not giving you permission to go on with it. And one asked, wider experience and all the rest of it. Why do you want experiences at all, wider? Because you are bored with the experience that you have daily. Isn't it? You are bored. And you hope you will be entertained by these drugs more, by going to football. You know, you see it on the television or on the field, and that entertains you for an hour. So in the same way, when life becomes an intolerable bore, as for most of us it is, a meaningless bore, then you take everything that comes along, including the drugs. But drugs don't alter your boredom. Drugs doesn't end your sorrow. You may escape for the time being by making the brain dull, stupid, deteriorate, but there is sorrow. There's the whole question of relationship existence, and which cannot possibly solve by escape through drugs.
The second extract is from a discussion with students in Ojai 1966 and is titled, "Taking Drugs is Nothing New."
First of all, this taking drugs is a very, very old custom. It existed in India about 3,000-4,000 years ago, called soma. They used to take it. It's a particular form, a particular form of leaf or something, which they took in order to get an extraordinary sensitivity so that they could see something more, not their potentiality. Wait. Now, and the so-called religious people of that period, they said, don't touch it, because that is not the real thing. Wait. I don't want to quote Mr. Huxley because he's dead, and I've talked it over. He said to me, when we were all with Mr. Rajgopal and we were all there, and he said, this form of taking drugs is the nearest thing to reality. You understand? The nearest experience to reality. I said, certainly not, can never be. This is a trick. You understand? You take something and you suddenly become enlightened. Good God. If enlightenment, if if one can discover the potentiality of oneself through little to LSD, it is a trick. I mean, it's finished. I don't think it works that way, logically or rationally, because people who have taken it have told me, they said, after we have taken it, we come back to ourselves and we know what we are. We are frightened, petty little human beings. And it doesn't solve a thing. And these are the people who have taken it, not you and me. I've never touched the damn thing. I mean, this thing.
Yeah, a lot of people that I know have worked and, through meditation.
Meditation is something entirely different. On the contrary, meditation demands tremendous activity, emotional, mental activity, not just taking a drug and getting an experience. I'm sorry, I know you may not agree, but I have talked, sir, to people in India who have taken not soma, not LSD, but they have their own forms of drugs. Hashish, bhang, there are several things which they take. And they said, this is the most marvelous thing. Because they said, we get the real experience. What they get is the projection, sensitized, of their own background. A priest took it, and he had the most extraordinary vision of Christ. And that brought about an immense, at least he says so, great change in his life. But he's conditioned by his own society in which he lived. And that projection of that picture, he thought was so marvelous, he's going to alter his whole life. There are others who have taken that drug. I've never taken it, and I talk as though I've taken it. I've talked to many of them, and they say, they get an extraordinary experience. They see, I know an Italian who took it, with two doctors standing by him, with a tape recorder. And he had a vase of flowers in front of him. And at a certain moment, he saw there was no distance between the flower and himself. You understand? There wasn't the man who is looking at it. There was an extraordinary feeling of intense closeness to things. And he came out of it because the doctors told him, don't ever touch it again. Because it's a deadly thing, it'll affect your brain, don't touch it. And so this is well-known phenomena which has existed through centuries. They had it in Egypt, they had it everywhere they had it. This is not something new. First of all, is there a shortcut? In psychological matters, is there a shortcut at all? I mean, one of these gurus or masters or bishops of LSD said, this is a shortcut. I said, shortcut to what? To real experience. He has already posited that there is a shortcut, that there is a real experience through LSD. He takes that for granted. And therefore he says that's the real value. The real value through shortcut when you take LSD. But I will question him and he says, is that real value? Or you think it is real value? Because you find after your shortcut you're back where you are. You're frightened, you know all the rest of it. Therefore, it's just a trick to get into a certain peculiar state of experience which you think will give you the real value. And when that experience fades away, you're back where you are. And they all admit that. To me, every experience, forgive me, is unreal. Why do you demand experience? But you want experience. Have you ever questioned why this craze for experience? Whether you go in an aeroplane or take LSD or experience. Why? Why? And what does that word experience mean? The word itself means to go through something. To go through something to reach something else. It's Latin word, you know better than that. And it means propel, expel, go through. And also something that's thrown at you as a challenge. If you beat the challenge rightly, then there is no conflict. You have answered it totally. But most of us don't answer the challenge completely, and hence the conflict. And to escape from that conflict, we take shortcuts. And so we're always demanding more and more experiences. We never say to ourselves, why do I want experience? Which doesn't mean I become dull.
What happens when one ceases to experience?
Either you cease to experience because you are paralyzed, or you see everything very clearly and you don't want any experience. It's only the confused man wants experience in order to escape from confusion. But if you're not confused, if you see everything very clearly, you're not confused. And therefore, why do you want experience?
The third extract is from Krishnamurti's fourth talk at Brockwood Park in 1971 and is titled, Can Drugs Reveal the Whole of Consciousness?
There are a great many unconscious responses, motives, inclinations, tendencies, inhibitions, fears. How is one to deal with all that? The hidden accumulations. Must one go through analyzing layer after layer, exposing all that through dreams? You follow? How is all that to be exposed totally so that knowing oneself becomes complete? You've understood my question? Now, how is this possible? Apparently, it cannot be done by the conscious mind. I can't investigate consciously the unconscious, the hidden. Can you? No, don't say no. See the difficulty of it. Because I don't know what is hidden. And the hidden may intimate through dreams. But the dreams need to be interpreted, and the whole complications. And all that will take a lot of time. Won't it? Oh, no. If one takes LSD or various forms of drugs, that helps a great deal, because in that there is no conflict at all. So you please take drugs. Does it really? does any drug, LSD, marijuana, any of them, does it really expose the totality of the content of consciousness? Or does it bring about chemically a certain state of mind which is totally different from the understanding of oneself? These drugs, I have never taken them. They have taken them in India a great deal. I watched many people there. I've also watched students in the universities in America and many people, other people who have been taking various forms of drugs. LSD, marijuana, I don't know what all the other names, psychedelic drugs. If you have observed, these drugs do affect the mind, the brain cells themselves. They destroy the brain. If you have talked to many of them who have taken drugs, they can't reason, they can't pursue a logical sequence of thought. And the doctors are beginning, the scientists are beginning to say it does destroy the very structure of the brain cells. Not only LSD, but marijuana, which is much more dangerous than LSD, because that leaves a toxic condition in the brain cells and it's much more difficult to get rid of them. In India, they have taken drugs for millions of years, thousands of years. And they are the most ignorant people who have taken drugs. And all the so-called intellectuals in India have denied it, have said, don't do it, touch it. I am not asking you not to take it. It's up to you. But when you see the effect of it on people who they have no sense of responsibility, they think they can do anything they like. Many hospitals are full of these people who mentally are imbalanced through drugs. We are talking of something which is non-chemical. If LSD or any drug can bring about a state of mind in which there is no conflict, that would be a marvelous thing. And at the same time, complete responsibility, sequence of thought, and action. Beg pardon, I can't hear. Am I coming to a conclusion? Is that what you're saying, sir? Oh, wait. How can you argue against drugs if you have not taken drugs yourself? Must you go through various forms of experiences? Must you get drunk in order to understand sobriety? Must you get angry in order to find out what it is not to be angry? Must you overeat in order? And so on, so on. Can't one observe without going through all the human mischief? Well, so I am saying, we are asking, How is one to expose the whole content that lies hidden at one glance, not through series of dreams, not through analysis, all that implies time and wastage of energy? How is one to observe the whole content of consciousness, the obvious and the hidden, the superficial and the profound, at one look? You understand? Because this is an important question. I want to understand myself. Myself being all the past, the incident in my present life, the experiences, the hurts, the anxieties, the guilt, the various fears. How am I to understand all that without a single analysis, without going through all the dreams and intimations and so on, to comprehend all that immediately? To understand all that immediately gives immense energy. Am I making myself clear? Now, how do you do that? Is that an impossibility? And we have to ask the impossible question to find a way out of it. Unless we ask the most impossible question, we shall be always dealing with what is possible. And what is possible is very little. I don't know if you meet this. So I'm asking the most impossible question, which is to have this whole content of consciousness exposed and understand it, see it totally, without time, which means analysis, exploration, investigation, and seeing layer after layer, layer after. That's all a wastage of time. So how is the mind to observe this whole content with one look?
The fourth extract is from Krishnamurti's fourth talk in Saanen, 1971, and is titled Dependency on Drugs.
Gentlemen asks, what can we do to prevent others from taking drugs? Do you take drugs here? I understand your question. Wait, sir. We drink coffee, we take alcohol, we smoke, we do all kinds of things, including take drugs, marijuana, speed, grass, all the rest of it, hashish, opium, and heroin. Right? Now, do you want to go into this? Yes. Delighted, all right. Why do you take them? Coffee? Please listen to this. Coffee, tea, marijuana, heroin, alcohol. Why? Are they coffee, tea, or stimulants, aren't they? No? Yes, I know. I don't take them, but I know. Huh? Coffee, tea, or stimulants. Physiologically, you may need some form of stimulant, right? Some people need them. And is alcohol, tobacco the same as taking drugs? Go on, answer it. Oh, wait. Alcohol, you say, is the same as taking drugs. Wait, don't take sides, please. One says no, and somebody else says yes. Then where are we? I'm asking, why do you take any of these things at all? Is it that you need stimulants? You need to be pushed, encouraged, stimulated? Go on, answer. You were so quick saying yes. Now answer this. Football, stimulating. Alcohol, stimulating. Tea, tobacco, heroin, all the rest of it. Why do you need them? Huh? To escape. Facility. What? Yes. Facility? Come on.
Yes, it's easy. You take a glass of wine and you're happy.
Oh, take a glass of wine and you're happy. Therefore, it's quickly done. Yeah. Wait. So, you need stimulants in various forms. Are you being stimulated here by me? Wait. Do please pay little attention. Don't. Are you being stimulated by the speaker? Don't say no and this gentleman says yes. Please, just investigate it. Don't. Are you being stimulated? If you are, then the speaker is as good as a drug. Then you depend on the speaker, as you depend on the drug, on coffee, teas, and all the rest of it. I'm asking why you depend. Not whether it's right or wrong, whether it should not. Why do you depend on any of these stimulants?
We don't necessarily depend. We can see it has such and such action on us, but we don't need to be dependent.
He says we can see its action, but we need not be dependent. But you are dependent when that stimulation wears out and you need more stimulant, which means you are dependent. I may take LSD one morning and get the kick out of it, take a trip and whatever it is, and lets me down, and I have to pick it up again after tomorrow. So I depend on it. Now I'm asking why the human mind depends, listen to this please, on sex, on drugs, on alcohol, or any form of stimulation, outwardly. This is all psychological, right? Coffee, tea may be physiological, because we eat wrongly, we live wrongly, we overindulge and so on. We need certain forms of stimulation. But why do we want to be stimulated in any other way, psychologically? Is it because in ourselves we are so poor? Huh? Yeah. Is that it? Because we have not the brains, the capacity to be something entirely different and not be dependent on all this? Then if you are dependent, alcohol, coffee, tea, drugs are much more serious than alcohol or tea or coffee, because drugs, from what I have been told, I haven't taken them, from what I have been told by doctors who have gone into this pretty thoroughly, that it destroys the brain cells. Wait, it destroys brain cells. Alcohol may do it gradually, take number of years, but the drugs are very, very serious because it affects your future generation, your children. So if you say, well, I don't mind what happens to my grandson, I want to indulge in drugs, that is the end argument. But I'm saying, what happens to your mind when you depend on something? Whether it be coffee, tea, sex, anything you like, waving a flag.
I lose my freedom. It destroys.
You not only, you see, you say these things, but you don't live it. Do you? Does it destroy freedom? Doesn't it, when you depend on something, doesn't it make you a slave to alcohol? You must have your drink, your martini, your whatever you take. So gradually, your mind becomes dull because through dependency. And therefore, it has been established long ago in India that any religious man who is really religious will never touch any of this. But you don't care. You say, well, I need stimulation. I met a man once who took a lot of drugs, LSD. And he said, I go to the museum after taking LSD, and I see colors more brightly. Everything stands out more sharply. There's beauty. But his mind becomes gradually destroyed. He may see the lovely light of a sunset, but his mind is gone, finished. After a year or two, he's just a thoughtless entity. Now, if you like all that kind of stuff, go to it. But if you don't like it, put it completely away from you.
The fifth extract is from Krishnamurti's fourth talk in Santa Monica, 1971, and is titled, Drugs Are an Impediment to Inquiry.
We have had every kind of sensory experiences, sexual, the pleasures of various forms of possessions, the pleasures of power, position, prestige, and the status that goes with function. And so having had various kind of stimulations with their experiences, we want to experience something vast, tremendous. And we hope through meditation we'll have this experience, either through meditation or through drugs. So, should we go into the question of drugs? Oh Lord. You know, in India, those who take drugs are the lowest in ignorance. And here, in this country, and this drug culture is spreading more and more, not only among the students, but also among the professors and the older people. I wonder why one takes drugs at all. Why you take whiskey or various forms of alcoholic drinks, and why you smoke. Why? Why do you take drugs? To have, as people have explained to the speaker, because the speaker has never taken any form of drug or smoke or alcoholic drinks. The people who have taken drugs explained to me that these drugs bring about chemical change in the system. And it gives them a certain quality of perception in depth, in clarity. That you take drugs in order to take trips, go off. And the more you take drugs, the more your brain inevitably must become dull. Obviously, like a man who takes a lot of alcohol must inevitably pay for it. And apparently, from what one hears, these drugs affect the mind, the brain cells themselves. And people take drugs also because life has no meaning anymore. Going to the office is a bore. Why should one work at all? Why should one join the establishment? Life has nothing whatsoever to offer except the usual money, position, and if one is intelligent and rather sensitive, one puts aside all that kind of abomination and hopes through drugs to find some kind of experience and are caught in that chemical experiences. The speaker used to know a friend who is very well known as a writer, and he used to experiment with these drugs. And one day we discussed this matter, and this writer said, look, are not these experiences through various forms of drugs similar to the real? And in discussing, talking over together, the real cannot be experienced at all. Because you cannot possibly recognize it as the real. You cannot possibly say, I have reached enlightenment. That would be most absurd. Which means any person who says, I know, I have experienced, such a person has not experienced the real. Or the man who says, I know, he does not know. So drugs, for a man who is really seeking, well, I won't use the word seeking, for the man who is inquiring, and inquiry is not seeking. Inquiry implies a mind that is free to find whatever there is, to see directly what is. For a mind that is inquiring, drugs are tremendous impediment. They are destructive. They have no value whatsoever to a man who is really completely serious. And as we said, most of us want some kind of supernatural experiences. And we think that's tremendously important because our own lives are rather empty, shallow, and shoddy. And again, to experience, the word experience implies going through and finishing, not retaining. And when you experience anything, we generally hold on because that gives us a pleasure thinking about it. So, meditation, not knowing what it is to deny absolutely any form, any system, any method which promises heaven, which promises enlightenment, which promises ecstasy. You know what is implied in a system, don't you? System implies a practice. You repeat it over and over and over again, day after day, hoping to achieve a particular result. And the people who offer you a system are really quite extraordinary. Because you accept them. Because you think through a system you will get something. But what you will get is what this system offers, which is a dull mind. Right? Because by practice, you make the mind more and more and more and more mechanical, and therefore more and more dull. And the people who offer you systems assume they know, they have experienced, they have achieved. And those people you should be extremely, careful. You shouldn't accept a thing of what they say, because you don't know. And there is this whole Hare Krishna cult in this country. You know what that is, don't you? Dancing in the streets, shouting, making a lot of noise. Again, it's brought over from India, and you accept it because gives you a sense of a feeling that you can be, release all your feelings, exhibitionism, and all the rest of that nonsense. And also, you have the transcendental gurus with their mantras. You know all that, do you? Yes? Oh, good heavens. That is, the guru, the teacher, in secret, for $50, tells you the Sanskrit word and you repeat it. I know you laugh. But you do it all the same. The Catholics have done this, repeated Ave Maria. That is old hat. You want something new. And especially brought over from India, which is supposed to be a very spiritual country, mystical and all that nonsense. They come over here and give it to you. And you repeat it. You might just as well repeat Coca-Cola 100,000 times. Don't, sir, please, don't listen. Don't please clap. Because you don't know what it means when you repeat a word. The repetition of a word, especially a Greek word or a Latin word, and a word from a series of words in Sanskrit, has a certain tonality. And when you repeat it over and over and over again, it does not only quieten the mind, still not quietening the mind, making the mind dull. In that dullness, there is a certain quality which is achieved through the resonance, the tonality of a word. And you think that is something extraordinary. And as we are so gullible, so easily influenced, because that man or that guru has such important people as his follower. And the more the followers, the greater the impression is made upon you. So you accept. So again, if you are serious about the question of meditation, you have to totally, completely discard drugs, alcohol, smoking, because they make the mind insensitive. And you have to discard completely every form of system, because it's mechanical, repetitive. And as our life is mechanical, as it is, repetitive, you add another burden to yourself. Therefore one has to discard not only drugs and all that, every form of system, and also one has to discard this repetition of words which is so absolutely silly. And also one has to discard the desire to experience. That's a great trap, because you can be caught in illusion.
The final extract in this episode is from the fourth talk in San Diego 1970 and is titled Live a Beautiful Life Without Taking Drugs.
Watch it, observe it, go into it. See how your brain, which is the result of millions of years of conditioning, which responds to every stimuli instantly, whether those brain cells everlastingly moving, chattering, responding, can that be still? And can the mind, which is part of the brain, part of the whole organism, psychosomatic thing, can the mind be this total thing, be completely still, not forced, not compelled, not driven, not out of greed, say I must be still in order to have the most marvelous experience? Go into it. Find out and see whether your silence is a product or your silence is happening because you have laid the foundation. If you have not laid the foundation, which is love, which is virtue, which is goodness, which is beauty, which is real compassion, the depth of your whole being. If you are not that, your silence is the ending of noise. And that brings in another question, which is, the whole problem of drugs. May I go on with it? In India, in ancient times, there used to be a thing called soma. It was a kind of mushroom which they drank, liquid, the juice. Used either tranquility or give you all kinds of hallucinatory experiences. And that and those experiences was a result of your own conditioning. Right? All experiences are the response of your own conditioning. If you believe in God, obviously you had the experience of God. But that belief is based on fear and all the agony of conflict, and your God is the result of your own fear. And you said, I have had a most marvelous experience of God, which is nothing but your own projection. And they lost the secret mushroom of that particular thing called soma. Then they have got in India, as you hear, various forms of drugs, hashish, bhang, LSD, marijuana, multiply them all. Tobacco, drink, heroin, including that, fasting. Because if you fast, it does give you some clarity, chemical clarity. Have you ever tried fasting? Try it. Do it. I'm not asking you to do it. If one does it, certain chemical actions take place naturally, which produce certain effects. And one derives great delight in that. In the same way, drugs produce chemical effects. Marijuana, LSD, and when that takes place, I have never tried, the speaker has never tried them and doesn't intend to do it because it's too stupid. When you can do it naturally, happily, easily, live a beautiful life without taking drugs, why do it? Now, those who have taken it have told the speaker that certain chemical changes take place. You have a certain vitality, energy. And the space between the observer and the observed disappears. Therefore, you see things much more clearly. One of the drug takers said he takes them to when he goes to the museum. Then he sees the colors more brilliantly than ever before. But you can see those colors without the drug when you pay complete attention to it. When you observe it without the space between you and between the observer and the thing observed. But when you take drugs, you depend on it. And it has all kinds of disastrous effects. But if you like it, it's your job. So there it is. Fasting, drugs, these various forms of chemicals, and the desire for great experience will produce everything that you want. Right? And what you want is such tawdry affair. Right? Some little potty little experience which you blow up into something extraordinary. So a wise man, a man who has observed all this, puts aside all the stimulants. And observes himself. And knowing oneself is the beginning of wisdom and the ending of sorrow.